Trusted Islamic sources confirm that Muhammad married a little girl. To deflect attention from Muhammad's relationship with Aisha, Muslims say that Rebekah was 3 years old when Isaac married her. We expose the bizarre reasoning they use to make this desperate claim. We have addressed a number of attempts by our Muslim friends to refute or to try to justify such behavior. Today, we're going to address yet another attempt to refute the fact that such behavior was unacceptable. For instance, our Muslim friends will point out to the age of Rebekah in the Bible, and they would say, wasn't Rebekah even younger than Aisha when she got married? Or at least there was a proposal to marry her. And with that in mind, I'm going to turn to David. David, what do you say to that?
Well, I would, here as always, I would say, read the passage, you liars, right? So this is actually one of the most disgusting responses. So we point out that according to Islam's most trusted sources, Aisha was 6 or 7 when Muhammad married her, and she was 9 when he consummated the marriage with her. We're not making that up. It's not a situation where we say, we have no idea how old she was, but let's just make a claim. We're claiming that Aisha was a certain age based on the evidence that we have. Mm-hmm. So this is according to their sources. But once they argue that, no, she wasn't 9 years old, and we show that that's a lie, and then they say, but she had reached puberty, and we show that that's false, then they start having to come up with different kinds of responses. And just as we have with the example of them saying, but wasn't Mary, the mother of Jesus, young like Aisha? No, she wasn't, not according to any reliable source we have. But they'll try that, and they also use that same approach, which again is a fallacy. It's called the two quoque fallacy. The two quoque fallacy is when, in order to avoid answering an objection, you just say that you've got the same problem or something like that. Notice that doesn't answer the issue. So if Muhammad is a pedophile, according to Muslim sources, it's irrelevant to say, but so-and-so is also a pedophile. Okay, well then there would be 2 pedophiles, right?
That's right. I mean, that doesn't answer the question.
Yeah, that doesn't fix the problem that Muhammad, the pattern of conduct in Islam, is a pedophile, and that it's still causing problems for little girls around the world today. So that's why it's a fallacy. But what's most disturbing about this is that Muslims are just basically making stuff up. They're going to people in the Bible where the age isn't given, and they're giving some sort of absurd reason for claiming that the girl was young, and then they're claiming it as fact. And so this one is especially disturbing because Muslims will actually say Rebekah was 3 years old when Isaac married her. Notice, Isaac is a prophet according to Islam. And so they're actually accusing a prophet of marrying a 3-year-old girl in order to deflect attention away from Muhammad. So defending Muhammad, it's not just that it causes them to defend and justify pedophilia. It causes them to attack people in the Bible. So you're talking about Mary, the mother of Jesus, and they'll accuse Joseph of also being similar to Muhammad. And then they'll accuse Isaac of having sex with a 3-year-old. So their belief in Muhammad is actually causing them to attack numerous people in the Bible that they claim to respect. We respect Mary, the mother of Jesus. We respect the prophets in the Bible. And then this is how they treat them, all in order to deflect attention away from their prophets. So the actual claim is that Rebekah was 3. And it's very simple to just say chapter and verse, because the Bible nowhere gives an age for Rebekah. So you say chapter and verse, and they will have no idea where it comes from, because all that happens is someone will say it, one of their apologists will say it, and then they'll all pass it around as fact instead of actually knowing what the argument is based on. So I've actually asked repeatedly for Muslims to defend this, and the actual defense that they give is the most ridiculous thing in the history of humanity, apart from many of their other claims. But so here's how they get an age. Because normally if you want an age and it doesn't give an age, you kind of have to piece it together. You have to say, okay, well, this person was this age here and this age over here, and this person was this age,
Correct.
and then you kind of do some math and you get to a certain age. So in order to get an actual reference point to start, okay, here's how old someone was at this point, or here's when this person was born. They need a starting point for Rebekah, and here's the claim that they make. This is how they defend it. In Genesis 22, book of Genesis, chapter 22, you have the story of Abraham and Isaac, right? When they go up the mountain.
Right.
And at the very end of that chapter, the very end of that story, we have this passage where Abraham gets some news from back home. So
Something about his brother.
Yeah, Abraham gets news from back home, and we read in verse 20. Now, after these things, it was told to Abraham, so he gets some news. Behold, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz, his firstborn, Buz, his brother, Kemuel, the father of Aram, Chesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel fathered Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. Right? So here's the argument. Abraham gets news from back home about who had kids and this and that. Because he's a long way away by this point. So you would only, it's not like we have email now.
That's
or,
right.
or even like the post service.
That's right.
You have to wait till travelers come by and they say, hey, I actually know your family from back home and I can tell you what's going on there, right? So their argument to get this young age of Rebekah is, well, it says right here, he heard that Bethuel fathered Rebekah. So they argue, right now is when Rebekah's born. So start right now. This is when Rebekah is born. It doesn't say this is when Rebekah is born. It says this is when Abraham hears the news from home. Following that reason, you'd have to say all these other people were born
the same
right
day. It's
then.
amazing,
Yeah,
man.
all these children are born the same day.
Wow.
So notice that's like insanely ridiculous reasoning. It shows how desperate they are they're so desperate to defend Muhammad, they'll just even make up absurd reasoning like this. But what I want to point out here is since there's no actual age for Rebekah that's given, if you just read about Rebekah when we first encounter her, it's really clear that she's not 3. It doesn't say how old she was, but it's really clear that she wasn't 3. So this is later on when Abraham sends his servant to find a bride for his son Isaac. He sends his servant, and his servant gets to the well and prays and
for a sign.
Say, I don't know what to do here. So God, could you have, people are coming out. I'll ask for a drink of water, and if someone says, yeah, and I'll take, let me water your camels too. Let that be a sign that this is the person you've chosen. So we read in Genesis 24, starting at verse 15, before he had finished speaking, behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her water jar on her shoulder. The young woman was very attractive in appearance. Notice the young woman, the young woman.
Right.
The young woman was very attractive in appearance, a maiden whom no man had known. She went down to the spring and filled her jar and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, please give me a little water to drink from your jar. She said, drink, my lord. And she quickly let down her jar upon her hand and gave him a drink. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking. So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough and ran again to the well to draw water, and she drew for all his camels. So Rebekah draws water for 10 camels. Now, I just went and searched how much can a camel drink? And the first entry that pops up, which is from a university, a typical camel can drink 53 gallons of water in 3 minutes. Right? So let me get this straight. Muslims want to say this was a 3-year-old. So this 3-year-old is coming out to the watering hole carrying her jar,
right,
that she uses to draw water for the family, to bring in water for the family. That would get pretty heavy with water. And not only does she is she the one who has to go out for water? She waters 10 camels. Now, let's suppose they weren't entirely super thirsty. Let's say they just drank, 25 gallons each. This 3-year-old drew 250 gallons of water,
right,
for someone. So notice the argument that she was 3 is absolutely insane. And I would have to say, anyone making that argument, I don't trust you. You're a liar. There's no way you could actually interpret the text that way and not be trying to deceive us. And the only passage that we have that would give us any indication of how old Rebekah was specifically calls her a young woman.
Right.
And she is clearly doing something that no 3-year-old in the history of humanity could do. I have a 3-year-old right now. He would not be drawing 250 to 500 gallons of water to take care of someone. And I certainly wouldn't trust him to be going out and doing tasks like this.
That's right.
By himself.
And it's just amazing, David, like you mentioned, out of desperation, sometimes you try to just reinterpret things to suit your agenda. And it's the same passage that you're picking from, tells you the rest of the story. How come you just only take part of it and ignore the rest of it? And also, if Rebekah was born when Abraham got the news, man, that must have been the fastest way for him to get the news. It never says that he was waiting for someone to bring the news. It just happened that he heard this was happened. And what about the rest of those that were born? It's a miracle in itself that many people were born all at the same time. And didn't it mention that the same wife had more than one child? Wow, she has triplets? That's amazing.
It was way more than that, yeah.
Well, folks, you see the problem, you see the dilemma. I understand why our Muslim friends do this. I would be embarrassed myself if I have to deal with this. So I can appreciate where you're coming from. But let's tell the truth. Let us stick to what the scripture is saying, and let us just face the dilemma. It is a dilemma. It is a problem. Let's just call it what it is. Thank you, David. Mm-hmm. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Hopefully we will catch up with you next time with yet another issue related to this topic. This is Fadi. God bless you. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, CIRA International, and click on the bell so that you receive notifications whenever we publish a new video or go live. I would also like to appeal to you to consider becoming a Patreon patron by clicking the link right below. By doing so, you can give towards the production of these videos. There are also other options for you where you can give to our channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.